All right, let's jump right in. We're going to tackle something that, let's be honest, can look pretty intimidating. The crypto token data page. You know the one. It's that chaotic mess of numbers and charts. Our goal today? To turn all of that into a story you can actually read and understand.
So, have you ever pulled up a page like this and just your eyes glaze over? Felt completely overwhelmed? Yeah, you are definitely not alone. It's like trying to read a foreign language, right? Well, stick with me because by the end of this, you're going to have the Rosetta Stone for this stuff.
All right, so to make this real, we're going to use an actual token as our guide, the Cat and Hoodie token, ticker's HODI. And look, I have to say this loud and clear. This is not me telling you to buy this or any other token. This is absolutely not financial advice. Think of this as a lesson in literacy. We're just learning how to read the dashboard, and this is our example.
Okay, first things first. Before we dive into any of the really complex stuff, let's just get our bearings. We need to know the absolute basics. Who is this? What is it? Where does it live? You know, the token's core identity. So, what are we actually looking at here?
It's pretty straightforward. The name is Cat in Hoodie. The ticker, which is kind of like a stock symbol, is HODI. It's built on the Solana blockchain, and you can trade it on the Radium exchange. Boom. That's your who, what, and where, all right there at the top.
And of course, here's the number that everyone's eyes jump to first, the price. Right now, one HODI token is worth, well, a very, very tiny fraction of US dollar. This is the big headline number for sure. But trust me, the real story, the interesting stuff, is buried in the details we're about to get into.
Okay, so we've got the basics. Now let's follow the money. This is where we get into the core metrics, the financial vital signs, if you will. This stuff tells us about the actual health and the activity swirling around this token.
And the first big number we see is liquidity. For HODI, it's sitting at about $15,000. Now, this number is super important, but what on earth does liquidity actually mean?
So, liquidity. What is it? The simplest way to think about it is it's the pool of money just sitting there, ready for traders to buy from and sell into. It's like the cash in a store's register. The more cash in the register, the easier it is to make big or small transactions, right? Same idea here. Generally, more liquidity is a good thing, and here's why you should care. Low liquidity, like what we see here, can mean wild price swings. It means one big trade could send the price rocketing up or crashing down. That's called volatility, and it's definitely something you need to be aware of.
All right, next up we have market cap, and you'll see FDV, which stands for fully diluted valuation. In this case, they're both sitting at $29,000. So, what does that number tell us?
Market cap is actually a really simple idea. You just take the current price of one token and multiply it by all the tokens that are out there in circulation. That's it. It's basically a quick snapshot of the project's total size. Is this a tiny project or a massive one? A $1 million idea or a $1 billion one? This is the number that gives you that sense of scale.
Now this chart, this gives us a feel for the recent mood in the market. In the last little while, you can see the buy volume was only $95, but look at the sell volume, $467. I mean, you don't need to be a math whiz to see what's happening there, right? Way more money is heading for the exits than is coming in the door.
And if we dig just a little deeper for context, we see that all happened over 23 trades. But here's the kicker. It was only 4 buyers compared to 16 sellers. So it's not just that more money was selling, it was that way more people were selling too. 4 times as many, in fact.
Okay, we've looked at the numbers, the hard data, but here's the thing about crypto. It is not just about the numbers. For a lot of these projects, maybe even most of them, the story, the narrative is just as important, sometimes even more important. So let's check out the story that this particular project is trying to tell.
So check this out. This is a direct quote from their profile. They're saying HODI ain't just another cat, he's the icon, an unforgettable IP. You see what they're doing here? They're not selling you a piece of code, they're selling you a story, an idea, a brand. They want to build a whole culture around this thing, which, by the way, is a super common playbook in this space.
So on top of that story, they make some pretty specific claims. They say they've got a strong community, a global vision, and, this is a big one, a doxed dev. Now, if you haven't heard that term before, doxed just means the developer's real identity is public knowledge. Why is that such a big deal? Well, it's all about trust. It makes it a lot harder for them to do what's called a rug pull, where anonymous devs create a token, get people to buy in, and then vanish with all the money. A public face means there's some accountability.
And of course, they don't just expect you to take their word for it. They give you links to their website, Twitter, and Telegram. And these are the real battlegrounds where the story gets told and the community gets built. This is where you would go to do your own homework. Is the community really strong? Are they active? You go here to get a real feel for the project's pulse. So they've got a story, and it sounds pretty cool, but a good story and a true story can be two very different things, right? And that brings us to what might just be the most important part of this whole process, checking for red flags. We're looking for clues about trust and safety. We're not trying to predict the future here, we're just trying to get a clear-eyed look at the risk. Okay, so at first glance, things look pretty decent. The platform ran an automated audit, and it came back with no issues found. Great. But, and this is a really, really big but, the platform itself throws up a warning right underneath saying that these audits might not be 100% accurate. That's a fantastic reminder to always be skeptical and think for yourself. Then we see this other data point, the pair age. And this is a really interesting clue.
So what's parrot age? It just means how long this token has been available to trade. And for HODI, it's been around for over a year and 9 months. Now, in the regular world, that's not very long. But in the crypto world, where new tokens can pop up and die in a matter of days or even hours, almost 2 years is like an eternity. It doesn't guarantee anything, but it does suggest it's got some staying power, some resilience.
All right, so we've made our way from the very top of the page all the way to the bottom. We've decoded the ID, we followed the money, we read the story, and we looked for red flags. Now let's wrap this all up into a simple framework, a kind of mental checklist you can use on any token you look at.
Here it is, your new analytical compass. It's just 4 simple steps. 1. Check the digital ID, the who, what, where. 2. Follow the money, liquidity, market cap, volume. 3. Read the story. What's the narrative they're pushing? And 4, and this is crucial, check for red flags. Look at the audit, the age, any warnings. Simple, right?
And look, that's really the whole point of what we just did. My goal isn't to tell you this token is good or that token is bad. The goal is to teach you how to read the map. It's to give you the tools so that you can navigate this wild, complex world with a little more confidence and a lot more understanding.
So, I'll leave you with this to chew on. In a market that moves at the speed of light, where value can appear and disappear in a flash, what do you think really matters more? Is it the hard data, the cold numbers on the screen, or is it the human story, the narrative that grabs our imagination? That question, that tension between data and story, that's at the very heart of crypto. Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.